Mike coming in hot with the beast mode reference.
Yeah,
Pre-show,
buddy.
pre-show. So our viewer out there in Fantasyland didn't see it, or hear it on the ear goggles. What's up, everybody? It's a fantasy forecast with Grenberg and Biggs. It's our starts and sits show. We are coming in hot after our waiver wire pickup show and our Thursday night points after Thursday last night that we did last night in a couple hours, and right before our injury show, which is dropping tomorrow with Marcus Gailey. And welcome. It's good to have you.
Welcome. We are bringing the heat these days, Biggs. I have
Bring
to
in the
say,
heat.
man, we are
When
on
it,
fire. Our takes are going good. Our views are up there. Thanks to all the people viewing our shorts, all our videos. We really, really appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody that is joining on the website, Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and we're getting your questions answered. And what up, Schultzy? Welcome
Hey,
to the show, my man.
what about our pants?
Our pants.
worldwide.
I don't know. You said people are viewing our shorts.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Northern California was bringing the heat, but that heat is gone and it's now in the 80s. And sweatshirt weather at night. What's up, October? Nice to see ya.
Yeah, I'm wearing a toque. In Canada, we call them toques. In down south, I think you guys call them beanies. So we're already
Beanies
in
or
toque weather up here in Canada. I was at 0 degrees, which is about 32 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. So at the cooler weather, if you will, there, Biggs, in the walk-in cooler. So yes, when you asked me that question this morning, if our walk-in cooler at work was the same temperature as outside, I went outside and it was actually the same temperature. So yes, we are getting shit cold down here, up here, if you will.
I mean, if you're talking about Nunavut, then you're down there in Winnipeg.
Fair. Yeah. So what are we here to doing today, Biggs?
Well, I feel like first you're gonna go through like our hits and misses from last week. We call them studs and duds.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I told everybody to start Justin Fields. It was a wash, I'd say. He had a decent game, 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't a must start kind of game. I did tell everybody to start Brian Thomas Jr., and he was a stud getting that big time touchdown, and I feel happy about that one. I told the folks to sit Rico Dowdle, which ended up he scoring a touchdown, and he definitely emerged in that Dallas Cowboys offense as the go-to guy. So that wasn't a great call, but Zamir White was a wash because he didn't end up having a game at all because he ended up sitting out. So not too shabby, a stud, a dud, and 2 washes. What about yourself, Biggs? How did you do? I'm going to look at this.
I would have said to start Brian Thomas Jr. if you hadn't, but you always tend to fill out the show sheet before you send it out to us. I said start Evan Ingram if he plays. He did not play, so that's a wash. I said start Khalil Shakir. He also did not play due to injury, so that was a wash. I said start Ramondre Stevenson. That was a dud. And I said start Alec Pierce. And Alec Pierce had himself a ball game. Almost breaking Schultz's heart down the stretch in that fourth quarter with 2 huge touchdown catches. Alec Pierce was a revelation that last week, and I told you all to start him.
Great job, man. We hit some good ones, and let's keep hitting them because we got another week. We have week 6 coming up here, and we've got some pivotal matchups. We've got a lot of teams on buys, and we also have a lot of injuries as well. So
we are officially almost 1/3 of the way through the season.
Yeah. So a lot to talk about, and let's get into our starts and sits. And we're going to start with our starts, and I'm going to start with my first one, and that's telling you all to start Jalen Tolbert versus the Detroit Lions. And if you're looking for a sleeper with serious upside in week 6, I think Jalen Tolbert is your man. He should be at the top of your list. Last week, he put on a show against the Steelers, racking up 7 receptions, 10 targets, and 87 yards, and that game winning touchdown. This performance highlighted his growing connection with quarterback Dak Prescott, especially as defenses continue to focus on star receiver CeeDee Lamb. Lamb is poised for a bounce back. Don't get me wrong, but there could be plenty of opportunities for Tolbert to shine, especially in a favorable matchup against the struggling Detroit Lions secondary. Tolbert's rise in target share is particularly impressive. Before last week's breakout, he had an average 12.5 percent target share, which skyrocketed to 25% last week versus the Steelers. The shift in this involvement came at a crucial time as Brandon Cooks was placed on the IR, leaving more room for Tolbert to step up, and he did that. He ran a route on 89% of the team's dropbacks and also led the Cowboys in red zone targets. Tolbert has demonstrated an impressive knack for making big plays, so for him, I got him as a must start this week against the Detroit Lions. His increasing target share combined with the absence of Brandon Cooks makes him a valuable asset in a high octane Dallas Cowboy offense. Don't miss the opportunity to get this rising star in your lineups, folks.
Absolutely. The Detroit Lions give up 35 yards per game against wide receivers, more than the average. And they also allow the most points in the NFL, A, to fantasy wide receivers, and B, to slot receivers specifically. So they are definitely a must start matchup for all of the receivers in your lineup. If you're streaming anybody, always look for that Detroit matchup first, because people that play against the Detroit Lions smash fantasy against the Detroit Lions.
Let's go. Okay, Biggs, who is your first start of the week here, buddy?
I'm kind of cheating with this one because at this point in the season, everybody that has him is starting him. There were a lot of people that drafted Brock Bowers as kind of like, let's see, just in case if he breaks out in some way. And he absolutely did. He is currently, after 5 weeks, the tight end one in all of fantasy. And so you're starting him anyway. But if there is any kind of inkling that, like, oh well, I have uh, excuse me, Sam Laporta, or do I, like, am I rolling with Mark Andrews or Dalton Kincaid or whatever? Any of these guys who came into the season with a higher ADP than Brock, you're not making that choice anymore. On top of that, the Raiders made a switch at quarterback. In a Luke Getsy offense that requires very quick release, like under 2.5 seconds, read and release. That's what Aiden O'Connell does from the pocket. Gardner Minshew was not that guy. He was not someone to take the snap, make his quick reads, and then do what he would with it. When Brock Bowers is leading your team in first read targets, and Aiden O'Connell is back there in the pocket making those decisions, Brock Bowers is going to have himself week after week after week. I would also start Jacoby Myers, but Brock Bowers is my guy.
And I like that, Biggs. I know how you mentioned that. Oh yeah, he's kind of a guy that is a top tight end already, but there's going to be a lot of fantasy gamers and managers that are really reluctant to start him with the new situation at quarterback. And rest assured, we both are very high on Aiden O'Connell over Garner Minshew. I think this is an upgrade in this offense with O'Connell, like you had mentioned in last week's in our waiver wire show, you mentioned that, he hasn't had a chance to play with the ones, and now he's had a week of practice. I think they're going to look a little bit better, and Aiden O'Connell has shown to be, progressive last year. He may not be super sharp to start, but give him a couple starts, and I think that momentum will gain there, and it's going to only mean better things for the pass catchers in that lineup. So I like this. Don't be afraid to start back Brock Bowers, folks.
And what do we know about Luke Getsy? We know that Luke Getsy made Cole Kmet tight end 7 2 seasons in a row. We know that Brock Bowers is leading the charge in targets. He was a first round pick. He has all of the draft capital. He's the focus of that Raiders offense, and Aiden O'Connell is going to be more efficient at getting the ball to him than Gardner Minshew was. And Gardner Minshew didn't have a problem getting the ball to Brock Bowers 9 or 10 times in some games. So I feel like at this point, Brock Bowers' floor is 100 yards and a touchdown, which is cuckoo.
Cuckoo bananas, and I think we both remember on our bold prediction show, uh, I had Brock Bowers pegged as a top 5 tight end this year, and he's well exceeding that expectation at this stage. So,
Absolutely. And
way to
again,
go!
I would have if you hadn't.
I love you, buddy. That's why I got to get on there because I got to beat Biggs to the punch because he's sharp, man. All right, folks. My next start of the week is one that I wouldn't have told you to start, all season because I just haven't been really high on him, and I am, turning my. He's bitten me in the past, so that's maybe why I've let the past of the Stefon Diggs shadow hurt me. He's helped me get into the playoffs, but the last 2 years he's hurt me in a lot of fantasy leagues in the playoffs. But I'm going to tell you to start him this week and moving forward for the next foreseeable future because as the Texans head in to week 6, they had a recent victory over the Bills. Diggs showcased his skills. He had 6 catches, 8 targets, 82 yards. He led the team in targets, but the most significant thing here is fellow wide receiver Nico Collins exited the game with that hamstring injury. Collins' status is certain now. He is not playing for at least 4 weeks. He's on the IR, and Diggs is posed to become an even more crucial part of that passing attack. He was already a foundational piece headed into this game. Now he's going to garner more looks, I'm assuming, and he's been consistent, racking up 31 catches on 41 targets through 5 games. His route running and strong hands has been reliable this year for CJ Stroud, and the Patriots defense ranks among the bottom in the league when it comes to defending the pass, allowing the 12th most fantasy points to wide receivers. This trend could work in Diggs' favor as he's already demonstrated his ability to exploit mixed matches with the Texans on a roll at 4-1. This is a prime opportunity for Diggs to shine and help his team maintain its momentum. I think Diggs is a strong start this week. He's got the opportunity and he's got the red zone target. So I'm looking for another strong showing for him. And I think this is a week that he could smash.
Absolutely. I hate that Nico went down.
Me too.
But if you're going to own somebody in that situation, Stefon Diggs is a good one to own. And I feel like this little second section of our starts is kind of a return to glory moment for these players because it's guys that we haven't been really high on, but we see lots of opportunity for moving forward. So sometimes you just need to get through those first 5 weeks of the season and watch things play out before you start to really buy in on people. And the one that I'm doing this week is Chuba Hubbard. Now, you might be thinking, how is Chuba Hubbard a must start in this situation? Well, the Carolina Panthers are going up against, where did it go? I was just looking at the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons have done pretty well in suppressing the passing attack, minus 20 yards on the average per game. But they're kind of loose in the run game. They tend to allow more yards on the ground than average. They also funnel the run. So while this may turn into a shootout, if Carolina's defense can kind of keep Atlanta in check to begin with, Chuba Hubbard is going to be the one to steal the show. And if they start getting behind, he showed himself to be enough of a pass-catching running back that he might get a few targets and be able to break a couple. So I'm absolutely starting Chuba in every league that I have him in.
Yeah, man. You just gave me a Chuba Hubbard on that one. So, so where can we go if we need to get our answers, like our starting sit questions answered in a pinch? It's 2 a.m. Is there any place where someone's kind of just scrolling the net? Where can you find your advice?
I don't know.
We are here. We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
Okay, I think I'll do that.
Me too. Let's go. Now,
Yeah.
we've got a list of players that we're pretty low on this week. There's, bad matchups, whether it's that or just a fading role in their offense. Every week we got to come in and we got to tell people to sit some guys. And this week, who's your first sit there, Biggs?
Well, my first sit comes with a caveat, okay? Nobody drafted this guy as or if they even did draft him, nobody has this guy on their roster because they were looking for top 24 running back numbers out of him. But he's done that. He has that capability. He's shown that ceiling before. So this sit comes with the caveat that only sit him if you have a couple of other options that are top 10 options ahead of him. So say you have a Bijan Robinson, say you have Saquon Barkley or a Derrick Henry, guys like that. If you do, then go ahead and sit Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle has a really kind of tough matchup against the Detroit Lions, not in the sense that that he's not going to do well against them, because he certainly could, but if that game turns into shootout mode, especially with the fact that the Lions are so bad in pass defense, Rico Dowdle could quickly become an afterthought. And if Dallas gets out way ahead, he might have himself a big game. But you want to make sure that you're starting guys ahead of him instead of him, as long as those guys are, your Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, your elite running backs ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, I told everybody to sit Rico Dowdle last week, so I'm perplexed about his situation. So I'm gonna tread lightly on that one because he burnt me last week. But I'm on with you here. But I was off him last week, so he burnt me. So hopefully, hopefully, we're guiding our managers in the right direction with Rico, because he's been up and down all year. So trust the matchup, trust the process, and that's what we do here.
If you have Dowdle and you have him because you have like a Pacheco out or somebody else dealing with injury or whatever, go ahead and start him. He's not a sit at all costs. That's not what I'm saying. He's just keep the guys ahead of him.
And that was the caveat you'd mentioned there. If you got guys that you could play ahead of them, then do so. And same with me here on this one. If you got better options in the streaming world here than Amari Cooper, I would be looking at that this week. And I know his matchup is favorable against the Eagles, and he's earned 10 targets per game. And, the chemistry between him and Deshaun Watson has just been inconsistent with production. It's tough to rely on him in your lineup week after week. Though the first 5 weeks of this, he is a Cleveland Brown, and the dog pound is not happy with me right now with, downplaying their Amari Cooper. But you know what? He's chopped my lineup down a couple weeks in a row here, and I'm going to tell you to sit him on the bench until maybe Jameson Winston is in that lineup, because give me some Jameis love here. I told him to pick him up on the waiver wire. I'm hoping that he gets an opportunity soon, because Deshaun Watson is not the answer, and anything is an upgrade than him at this stage. And Amari Cooper is in hurting because of that. 10 targets, and he's not been able to garner much fantasy success, and I'm not expecting a whole lot out of him this week as well. The Browns offense is in trouble. They're failing to reach 20 points in multiple games this season. This offensive inconsistency limits the chances for any player to have a productive outing, especially Amari Cooper, who thrives with opportunities to make big plays. If the offense continues to struggle, it will be a challenge for him to find the end zone and significant yardage. So in a low-scoring potential game, I'm just not in on him this week.
Oh, no, I just dropped my cigarette into my whiskey. Jameson Winston. Um, yeah, good call. God, Deshaun Watson is bad. So bad.
So bad. So
So
bad.
bad.
Okay. Let's get into our last sits here.
So, you know who I'm sitting? I'm sitting all of the Buffalo wide receivers. They're going against a New York Jets team that is really, really good against the pass. It's probably in the top four terrible matchups for wide receivers this week. Looking a little bit deeper into what we have, the New York Jets have allowed 10 points per game in fantasy to slot receivers and 11 to receivers out wide. Mac Hollins is banged up. Khalil Shakir has been banged up. Curtis Samuel hasn't provided the season that we want him to. Keon Coleman is not as good as the Bills thought that he was going to be. Josh Allen has struggled at times. It's not a good week if you are looking at Buffalo Bills wide receivers. I would be much more comfortable with Dalton Kincaid getting targets this week, or one of the running backs if James Cook doesn't play, than any of the wide receivers. It's not looking good.
Yeah. And Josh Allen looks like he's in some hurt right now too. That whole offense is just struggling, and I think they really needed a Khalil Shakir. I mean, he's a very good football player, and they don't have much outside of him in that lineup right now. And especially with a banged up James Cook now, we're uncertain about what his future looks like in the next couple games here. So that's something that we got to really monitor as well. So yeah, Biggs hit the head on the nail. Opposite. Hit the nail on the head.
Hit the head is a whole different euphemism.
All right, man. Okay, well,
I got to go see a man about a horse.
yes, or yes. Let's do it.
Hey, I got a new thing. It's called cards / big boned FFB. You know what that is? That's where you can go and find all of the content that I'm involved in. It's got the fantasy forecast shows, YouTube links. It's got the Spotify links for the audio of all those podcasts. It's got my Twitter on it. It's got all of those. So go to the word dot cards / big boned FFB. Much easier than Twitter. There's no like tweets for me or mundane things. You can link to the FSAN app and you can go to there. All of the YouTube shows across all of our networks that we work for, all of it is right there with a cute little picture of me from the expo. Dot cards / big boned FFB.
You know where Biggs? I think you should put that link in the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, and we can all find your work there as well. And I got one more sit that I have to attack before we let our viewers go, and that's Brian Robinson Jr.
Cool, but find me at dot.
I love it. Yes, Brian Robinson Jr. He's had a really big hot streak, and I think he's talented. He's got great talent, but there's a few factors that suggest that your starting lineup should be without him this week if you can manage it. I know it's going to be hard to do that.
He's playing against the Baltimore Ravens.
That's exactly why. And the Ravens are very stout against rushers. And Brian Robinson had some struggles last week, even though he found the end zone twice. He's not been very efficient, and that's why I think he's a sit. So, sit Brian Robinson if you can. But I'm not sure many people are.
My last start is going to be Deebo Samuel, who just made me look really, really bad.
There it is.
He did last night.
All right, then. All right, folks. From all of us at the Fantasy Forecast on the Fantasy Sports Advice Network, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, we got another show coming up tomorrow. Dropping is our injury report with none other than our physio specialist, expert, Marcus Gailey. And tag him, tail him to get the most out of your injury reports headed into your weekend. So let's go, Biggs. Get anything to add to that?
Well, I was going to say we hope you win unless your name is Amber, Ebo, or Tommy Moe. Then we don't hope you win.
We hope you win. Peace.